Because the fucking traffic is so horrible. And I wanted to test if this actually works, because I felt so depressed because I haven't been able to make progress, and I've been trying. I have so many profound things to say. And what happens? What happens is the stream cuts off and it doesn't even save. And I've literally had a period of mourning of those videos, because those were the best ones I made, and none of them were saved, and it shits me so hard. But this is what happens when you film things, and I am funny, and I have to remember that. And I keep forgetting, and every time I go to write something down so I don't forget, the thought is no longer formulated, and it fucking pisses me off. But I'm going to keep trying, because one thing I can remember is you keep moving forward, even if it feels like you're making no progress. Keep moving forward and never give up. Even if all odds are stacked against you. Which is why we're doing this, because I want to see if it will even save. And there's so many cars on the road, and I literally was going to go to the city, but now I have to come back, because for some reason at 1:02 p.m. the traffic is fucked. For some reason, I don't know why. It makes no sense at all. I'm going to go on the front of this truck. I hope nobody hates me for that. So I'm just trying to do this because I don't even know. And there's other things in life that matter. And I haven't done nothing in this time, so it's okay. But also, everything feels a little bit hopeless because my eyes are fucked. I can't play games in that room for very long without it hurting. And there's no good games to play unless I get paid, but that'll be another 2 weeks, so it's fine. But I was looking forward to playing Hogwarts Legacy, and I thought maybe I would get to, but that's okay. It's alright. I mean, it's not like I probably would have. That's the thing. I saw Cal Kestis, the second game, and I was like, I was going to play this, but what's the point? And I looked at the background. I'm like, it looks really realistic, like Star Wars. But I mean, I've already run around as somebody in Star Wars before, and I've already killed people in Star Wars, and I've already run around in a 3D space with the character that I control. It looks pretty cool, and you can give him different hair and all this shit. And it's like, I don't really care about it anymore. And I was like, my eyes would hurt to look at the background anyway. I wouldn't be able to fully appreciate it. And then I was like, wow. So I'm depressed. I need something. Something needs to change. I'm not actually depressed, but I mean, that's the thing. I like these videos because it helps me construct my thoughts. And even if I don't even save any of them, you know, like, it'd be good just to keep them in my private collection, just so I can recall my thoughts back and I can search a train of thought. Because Michael Jackson, he used to go hee hee into his little recorder box whenever he would think of a sound. And I wish I had something like that, because there's so many instances where, like, firing up a computer or getting the app ready, and you're like, oh, I've lost the motivation. Not the motivation, but the inspiration. You need to sometimes go right within like 2 seconds of having the idea. If you have to wait for your phone to load up, and it takes like 2.5 minutes just to get the thing open, you're like, what was I even thinking of? Why am I sitting in front of this computer? My eyes hurt, I want to turn it off. You know? And then my equivalent is my stream keeps stopping for literally no reason at all. And I don't understand what's going on, and it pisses me off because I'm trying, but it's fine. But we will keep trying. We will keep trying, because it's not that bad. It's not so bad. Oh, that truck's headlight looks like frog spawn in my rearview mirror. Especially the yellow, the left one. It's a bit yellow-bellied, lizard-tongued freak, cleft lip, no. Yeah, I watched a video, and this guy was like, there's this polluted pond where all the fucking stuff dries out, all the frogs spawn, and then he was like, I'm gonna save it and put it in my backyard. So he's got like 2.8 million estimated frogs in there. And it looks like that amount because they're all hopping around. And it's fucking insane. And I'm feeling a lot better just because even if, I don't know, so many trains of thought I forget, but I scribbled them down on my whiteboard last night, even though I'm not supposed to. It's supposed to be just for the tally, but I scribbled it down because it was the only thing there. And I had an idea, this is the idea, I had an idea that, my mattress against the wall, it doesn't feel as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be bad because I was on my bed the whole time, but it was actually the restrictive frame preventing a full arc of my arms to be performed. That was the problem, not the fact that the wall was restrictive, because you can always hoist yourself down the bed or move the mattress off in the floor in this case. Anyway, I had an idea that, imagine if I had a box over the top of my head, of wall, and it was perfectly aligned. I was rich. I was one of those people I was, what's his name? Oh, not Marcus Aurelius. Somebody Roman who likes bathhouses, and I could commission a bathhouse designer to make this thing. I'll be like, make it above my bed and make water run underneath so it's all extravagant and I'm going to sleep in there so I can go, ooh, and I can shove my arms side to side and fucking push against. There's people behind me freaking me out. I can push against it, and it's and extend my arms above my head, and it's perfectly calibrated to my body. And then I could figure out different ways to make slightly different ones so all my men could experience the sensation that I have of isometrics against the wall before bed. Because that's the best time of my life. That's the other thing. The times I felt most alive, I've just been in the midst of a task. And I didn't even know. I was like old people always go, what are we doing? What am I supposed to be doing? And once they know, it sets them at ease, Because when you're at work, you prefer to just have idle brain. And knowing that you're progressing in your life, it makes you feel good, if you're ferrying back water after picking it up, you're like, oh, I'm being so productive. I've got water. It's a celebration. I can just relax. Those are the times in your life where you're actually just chilling, And those are the times I think we all want. So you got to find a way to cultivate those times. Anyway, getting off track. That was some of the thought process from last night before bed. The other one was, let's just talk about this. If I had children, that's right. Before the bathhouse thing above my bed, the arc of the stone, I had that idea. I was like, what if I could put it for my legs as well? I could shove my legs in there. It'd be like a rock climbing isometric. And then I could have those ones where the dinos and they spin their legs round. And it's people said, this is not real rock climbing, but it is, If I could do that above my bed, imagine how many times you would take that formation and how many isometric strength gains you could get just before bed that you would have wanted to do, but you just could not. And you had to stifle that urge because you had a shit bed that made it so you couldn't even put your arms above your head. And then you have chronic shoulder problems. Why? Because you couldn't itch your craving. It was bullshit. Anyway, I had the idea by the time I could afford that, it's not even going to be beneficial for me to do that anymore. Because I'll be 30 plus, I'll be out of my prime. Oh, maybe 30 is fine. But I'll be old by the time I think I could afford a house. And no, fuck that. We're going to get rich. And we're going to get rich now. Yeah, I was like, maybe it might be, by the time I can do all that, it might be a long time, and I'd never get that, stone, and by the time I get it, I'll be like, I don't really want to do it anymore, I got all these problems, just not the same as now, which is a shame. But then I was like, what if there's so many good steroids? Joe Rogan perfected the TRT medicinal dosage, and it's, so good, and it's so easy to, get, basically at 50 or 60, I could still be just, getting old man Zeus strength. Everything is gained still, and I could just keep getting older. And I was like, what if the future is my children? They have infinite access. What if that's my reality? I get to 80 and I can still be doing isometrics in walls and shit above my bed to bulletproof my tendons even stronger. What if my children are because you want, as a parent, you want your child to have the better life than yours. You'd be like, I just want this thing. I would throw myself in front of fucking knives. I would take the shrapnel just so they would live, as long as they live, because it's it's all that matters. Who cares if I jump on the grenade? They need to live. And then that's a 4-1 lane. And then that's fucked. So tight, and they go so fast. Yeah, so I was like, I would do that for my kids. And what if I can get to 80 with all the treatment that we got now? Like, in my age, just progressing my technological age of medicine and science technology. Man, I'm thirsty. Oh, I got water, good. Yeah, so let me just have some water first. Hopefully this is filming. So science technology. Yeah, like what if, like when I have a child, it's like, oh, well, this child literally was going to have fucking fetal alcohol syndrome because people just drink now because medicine's so good that it doesn't matter. And you could fucking, it's like, oh, it's going to have like a birth defect, but we fixed it. And that's just the world we live in. And then my child gets to grow up in a world where that is the baseline. And then it just becomes even better from there. What if they are essentially immortal? But I was like, what if they are a bad person, like the fucking bad guy from Altered Carbon that killed himself and then hired somebody to figure out who killed him, and then he figured out he killed himself at the end. Spoilers for Altered Carbon. But that made me think. I was like, if I could go speed back to now, just my face standing there all shocked, you know, like in the movies. Like, would I even want this world? You know, like, it'd be like, why did I even sacrifice myself for this child, you know? Like, you go, like, what would I even... I don't know, like, that's why it makes me think, like, what kind of future do I want? What kind of life do I want for my children? What kind of people do I want them to be? Of course, I'll love them regardless, probably, but, like, it's good to know, like, because then I can figure out who I want to be for them. And the sooner I know that, the sooner I can start fostering that person. You know, so I can be more prepared to give them what they need to be the best version, you know, of them, whoever they may be. Yeah, and that's just some of the things that I really wanted to record, because that's another thing. When I'm rich and famous, if I shake Joe Rogan's hand, I'm going to go, Joe Rogan, I'm really high right now. I'm sorry, Joe Rogan. I know it's in front of your children. I'm going to go, Joe Rogan, I know I saw you at the airport, but hopefully one day when I'm rich and famous, you'll be reaching out to me to ask me to come on your podcast, because I'm so profound. And some of the things I say are some of the things that I like to say in response just at my house, listening to some of the shit that he and some of the guests say. I'm like, what the fuck? I would have so many opinions. And just hearing some of the stuff that is said on there and he has to laugh at, because I know you laugh. Not everything is funny, Joe. Sometimes at the end you just want to finish the podcast and get them off. Like with the final minute, I understand why you pretend laugh. And I'm to be honest, I don't know if I could pretend laugh as good as that. Even though sometimes we see right through you. But, yeah. Anyway, I think, like, some things you say, like Joey Diaz, some things, I would really love to have a conversation with especially Joey Diaz now, because he was like the godfather of weed, but I think he's, like, different now. And I didn't know he had so many panic attacks. And, like, he's changed, and he's grown up now, and it's like, I don't know, it's interesting. And some of the people that are on there were just like, I would really, really, really love to input stuff. Like, when they say stuff, I'm like, oh my God, I have, like, a whole tangent. I want to be like, did you know about, like, the African sea lion? I'll be like, I've got this whole thing. It's like an Arctic thing. I'll be like, what about that, Joe? Do you think that could beat up a gorilla? I'll be like, you know, the other day, I figured out this. And I go, Joe, you know, I went on a rabbit hole the other day. I got high and I ate Doritos and I ate a piece of Toblerone. And I could be like, Joey Diaz, it's tremendous. And I fucking drank tea. I don't know. I could say all these things. I'll be like, I went on a rabbit hole, and I figured out that there's, like, a common ancestor between, like, chimps and oh my God, holy shit, chimps and gorillas and bonobos and fucking, what's the other one? I don't know, but they yeah, even though bonobos is like, even though it lacks the strength of a chimp, it'll rip your face off like a chimp. And I'm like, that's literally me. That's a human. It's like humans think they're gorillas or apes, but they're not. And they're not strong enough, but they have the ferocity to be one. And that's what made me think. I was like, who says I can't be? Because everyone's like, oh, you can't regenerate your tendons. And it's like, yes, you can. And it's like, you can't become strong as a gorilla, Jordan. You can't rip a tree out of the ground. Pardon me. I'm like, yes, I can. I've always felt like I could. I felt like when I look at these things, I'm like, I could, if I tried long enough, for as many years, I could totally do that. I'm like, I could rip trees out of the ground. And they're like, no, you couldn't. You're too weak. I'm like, oh, I feel like my skin could be bulletproof. Not bulletproof, but like really thick. And I'm like, and they're like, no, it's impossible. I'm like, well, I think I can. There's all these things going well. It's a miracle. They really can. And I'm like, well, I've always felt like I can. So let's just fucking try and take that ability of I think I can and see how far we can take it. Because I think that really matters. It's like you know you're gonna fight. You subconsciously, your body, like its bones harden. I feel like I'm getting harder. Even though, because I know what it feels like taking impact now. Like, I'm literally just like subconsciously trying to make my bones hot all the time. That sounds stupid. I'm not going to say that. There was another tangent I wanted to go on. I can't remember what it was now. Oh yeah, the gorillas. So we're going to take the ability of I can, because I realized it's like a fork. So like the knuckle is like some Lucy, I think his name is, the primate, and then it forks, right? And then a bunch of other things happened, and basically humans, and on the one end, and then on the other end, it's apes, great apes and monkeys. But there's so many similarities to us that, like, I don't know, we're very similar, and I suspect in our, like, ferocity and tenacity as well. Like, I feel like I want to bare my teeth at my enemies. Like, maybe it's just me, okay? I'm open to that possibility, but I feel like a lot of people feel like that, and they want to just unleash their ferocity, and they want to live like that every day. Like Joe Rogan, definitely. I know he does, but this could go into a different conversation. I always think about Blazarian from fucking Big Mouth, and how in that flashback he was like a magician. He was all ripped, and he's like the dumb one. I don't know. I feel like in order to achieve, like, to be quite an intelligent person, you're not going to be like inclined to the point where exercising is euphoric. Your brain's just not going to be that way inclined. I don't know. Who knows? It'd be an interesting conversation to have, but I reckon Joe Rogan would sympathize, because he's like, I'm like a monkey talking to these people. I don't know what he says. He says like I'm a child or something, but yeah, anyway, I'm going to take that, because who says I can't be as strong as a gorilla, and who's to say a gorilla can't be as strong as me? Be as smart as me? Who's to say I can't? Because we're two forks, and we got the same shit basically, and we just changed due to the environments we're in. Who's to say I can't literally be as strong as a gorilla? They'll be like, oh, if we found out that we're humans just being lax indoors all the time, if we literally... Because I was like, if I literally did pull-ups everywhere, I would be insanely fucking strong. Like, imagine that. I don't know, I guess it's different because they're naturally heavier than humans, hey? I guess, because all the fuel went to our brains probably, and they went to their bodies. I don't know. Because I just thought about it, we'd be eating more calorie-dense food because of fire and shit, but... Are you telling me gorillas never figured out fire? You know, there's probably just one random one, and it had, like, good fingers, and it was, like, able to figure things out, and then that one passed its genes down. And then more dexterity led to less muscles and, like, less priming for huge strength movements, and more, like, finicky little movements, and the finicky little movements required more neural energy, so the brain got bigger and the body got smaller. That's probably what happened.